Hi, I'm Corsair-Hugo, and thanks for joining me once again for Transportation Fever 2. In our session 0, we went over the settings for the game that we're going to be using here, and now we're going to take a look at the map. We're going to take a look at each town, see what they need, what their demands are, and then we're going to try to start formulating where we're going to go with that, what our game plan is going to be, at least initially. All right, here we go. Okay, the first town we're going to look at here on our map is going to be Carlisle. It has a demand for food and for some machines. Now, the food uh, won't be super difficult. It's going to take a little bit of travel from Carlisle or from the farms of Carlisle. We can ship the grain over to the food processing plant and then back up to Carlisle. Now, this might require us to add a bridge up here to make the journey a little better. Bypass going around this, it's called a lake, the wider body of water. So that's the food for Carlisle. Now, machines aren't going to be too bad. Although it's not going to be early game, we were lucky that there is going to be a machine factory nearby. We can get the planks not far away from that factory at the sawmill, and we have a forest over here for the logs. Now we still need to get the steel, which can come back here. We will need to put a bridge in to do all this, but we can have a steel mill over here, and we have a coal mine and an ore mine not too far away. So let's move over to our next town. Next, we're going to look at Glossop. They would like some fuel and some tools. Now, we are fairly lucky with the fuel in that we have an oil well just down here, and also to the west and further southwest there is a oil refinery, and then that would need to be refined oil would need to come up here to the fuel refinery and back to town, and that's a fairly good loop. Now, the tools, here we go. We're going to take from the Glossop Forest and we're going to take the logs over to the sawmill. The sawmill then will take them to the tools factory to make the tools and bring them back, and we will just have a short little jaunt back up to here. Very minimal empty hauling. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do. Okay, so that is Glossop. Now, let's see. Let's move over to Huddersfield. Huddersfield. All right, so Huddersfield. Ooh, you guys want machines and tools. Now, we just described over in Glossop how we were going to get tools. After we start satisfying Glossop with tools, maybe we can start to siphon some of them off. I think that's going to be the only way that Huddersfield's going to get tools. Maybe we'll set up their own line where they're gathering their lumber from down here in the Huddersfield forest. So, I mean, yeah, that would work too. We could go from the Huddersfield forest up to the Huddersfield sawmill to get converted to planks over to the tools factory and back. Actually, that's maybe a better idea. We're just going to put a lot of demand on that sawmill. Alright, so now what about the machines? Okay, so we had looked previously at the machines uh, demand at Carlisle, and I'm thinking that at some point we're going to need to bring the machines down and supply Huddersfield. That'll be after we get uh, Carlisle's demands up and running, because once you start doing that, that's not the most ideal. It's going to be one-way travel with a load and return empty, unless we can figure out some way to bring goods back that way. There is a sawmill here. I mean, maybe we could eventually have the return trip taking planks back up here to help provide the factory, but this is going to be much in the future, um, not one of the early game's achievements here. So let's move on. Let's take a look at Liverpool, staying alphabetically and going north to south. I guess you could say Nottingham is just about level, but in any case, con materials for Liverpool. This is definitely going to be one of the easier ones, one of the early games. We can get over at the quarry, we can get the stone to ship over to the construction materials plant up to Liverpool, and then unfortunately it's going to be a little bit of a haul back. To start with, we'll probably be using the bridge here until we get a little bit more financially stable to make a quicker route. But all in all, that's not bad. Goods, however, going to be a little bit more demanding, and we can get the goods from our plant here in Nottingham. How do we do that? Okay, so Nottingham, to make the goods, is going to require plastics. Plastics, we have a way of doing that. We can get the crude oil from up in Glossop. We'll bring the crude oil down to the Liverpool oil refinery, the refined oil down to the chemical plant, and then over. And okay, then we need to provide steel also, which to the southwest of the plant we have a steel mill, and south further yet is a coal mine and an iron ore mine. Not ideal in the fact that the return trip is going to be as a long trip down empty. So not something that's going to be right away in Liverpool. We won't be getting goods right away, but maybe if we can figure some way to get things moving north and south a little bit faster, might have some possibilities. Also, we talked about or thinking about doing some kind of yard here to put supplies, and there's a name for that. I just can't think. I've seen some videos where players have talked about that, and I am drawing a blank. Okay, in any case, Nottingham was next. Probably the easiest. If you know, we got two very easy ones here, not too far apart. Nottingham's food demand is going to be easy to fix. We can grab the grain and just ship it over to the food processing plant next door, bring it up to Nottingham, and make this loop. That may be the first loop we complete, and then the second one is probably going to be the construction materials to Liverpool. Two of the easier ones, shortest to make, and ones we can get started earliest. Now, the second item for Nottingham is con materials. Unless we siphon off some of the con materials going to Liverpool. Unfortunately, there's no nearby construction material plants closer to Nottingham. So let's get the con materials going to Liverpool first. Once we get a flow of that, and then maybe we can start siphoning some of that off to Nottingham. Okay, let's see. Let's go over to Shrewsbury. So Shrewsbury being one of the bigger population towns, it's lucky in that sense, but the demand for fuel and tools not too lucky. There's just not the. Let's see. We do have a fuel refinery there, and we have the crude refinery here, but I don't see a well. I should come clean down here. I suppose that's the best oil refined fuel made from that, and over a little bit of an awkward, and then a long haul back here empty. Okay, we'll have to look at that. The tools, we could get those from over here in Nottingham, where we have, let's see, you have forest to make and ship the logs over to make planks at the sawmill. The planks then come back to this tool factory, and then a long haul over here to town. As I look at this, probably the better way of doing it would be start here at the Shrewsbury Forest, haul it over to the sawmill, from the sawmill up to the tools factory, and then from the tools factory back to Shrewsbury. Actually, that won't be too bad now that I'm looking at it. There's only a shorter empty haul, and going from clean over from the east to the west for tools, that won't be, or that would be a profitable route along. Now we might have to put some roads in to accomplish this, make it a little bit straighter path. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought originally. I thought Shrewsbury was going to be difficult, but they're not going to be. It's not going to be easy, but they're not going to be impossible. All right, enough talk about Shrewsbury. Let's go down to Woking. Woking is looking for con mats, con materials, and food. Let's look at food first, because we do have a plan for food. We can grab some wheat from the farms nearby, take them down to the food processing plant, and up and over. That looks very, very doable. Now the con mats, and this is where we're probably going to have to get a little bit clever with how we do this. There is a construction material plant right here, but there's no stone quarries in the immediate area. There's coal mines. There's just no stone quarries. This is going to take some more thought about if we could get, and here, let's do this. If you click on this and we look at the supplies, you can see that, okay, it sorts us by alphabetical. Glossop, clean in the north, Liverpool mid, and Nottingham mid. So, yeah, and we've already talked about the demand for off of that quarry. We are using that for several other uses. I don't even see the Nottingham. Oh, it's way up here. That's the Glossop. Where's the Nottingham quarry? Where am I missing it? Oh, that. Okay, I glanced right over. That's the Glossop. This is in Nottingham. And this is livable. So you can see that to get the stone down here to make the construction materials is going to be a haul. Okay, so that's going to take some further thought how we do that. Food, not a problem. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. And last but not least, we're going to look at Yeovil. We're going to possibly try to get the fuel from Shrewsbury, and actually this is probably going to be a little bit more ideal to get the fuel to Yeovil than to Shrewsbury, because if we start over here at the oil well, truck that up to the oil refinery, from the oil refinery we go continue north to the fuel refinery, back down, and then it's just going to be a short jaunt from Yeovil back over here to the oil well. Now we do have a hill in the way. I'm not sure if we can squeeze a road behind this farm to cut down the distance. I guess that's what we could do for the fuel. Now the goods, the only idea I have is to import the goods from what we're going to produce in Nottingham goods factory. Alright, so probably begin our next episode, starting to build a supply chain, and that's going to be the food going to Nottingham. After that, we'll go with getting materials to Liverpool, and then maybe after that we'll start looking at passenger transit. There's probably a lot of you more expert players saying no, 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 that's not profitable, it's not but we'll take a look at that, see how things start to develop. Maybe start setting up some routes between towns, and try to get things moving. Alright, thank you for joining, and again, if you would please click the like button below, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and leave comments and tell me if you have any ideas how to improve upon what I'm looking at here. Till then, I'll see you next time. Bye.